Ralph.
I'd like to introduce you to Captain Manhart, who's our director. You get through this ride home? Mrs. Curry, oh, good. Eva Burrows.
Is it on your belly? Yes.
Hi, General. Where are you going?
That's Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Oh, boy.
It's the General. Yeah, it's the General.
Yeah.
Say hello to the general.
He made the handprints for
where's
you.
your hand?
Whose hand is that?
Yours, isn't it?
Close you, Linda.
He did that.
Wow, isn't that lovely?
And do you want? Can you tell her your name? Come a little closer.
Right, who's that?
Tell her your name. What's her name? Diana.
Diana.
Yeah.
Princess Diana. Well, what do you think of that?
Do you like the general? You like her?
Yeah.
Good. Oh, I like her now.
You like her too, and do you?
I want to get a couple board members in. Hold up.
Where's Sarah?
Don. Huh? Don? Don. Perfect. I get the whole lady.
Let her hold you.
We can't take it off. I gotta wear it. General's hat, the radiates.
Okay.
Do you like her hat? Yeah, say hi. Who is this? Who's that?
Oh, got a kiss for the General? Very nice. What's your name? Angie.
Oops, kidding.
Is it? Isn't that nice? You got a kiss for the General? They're going to take a back picture. What, isn't she a lovely girl? Isn't she beautiful? Can you give me a kiss?
Give her a kiss.
Ooh, how nice, Angie.
Hi.
Hi. What's outside here?
It's a patio with blocks.
Ready?
Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. I'll tell him to the Lord that I love you. Oh, the Bible says that you love me, and you're always thinking of me, and you gave your life to save me. Then I rose in victory, and I know because you're God's son that you came to see His will done. I will sing and praise and for you each day and tell His love for you. Hit it. Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. I'll tell it to the Lord that I love you. Oh, the Bible says that you love me, and you always thinking of me, and you gave your life to save me. Then I rose in victory, and I know because you're God's son that you came to see His will done. I will sing and praise and for you each day and tell the Lord for me. Hit it. Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. I'll tell it to the Lord that, tell it to the Lord, tell it to the Lord that I love you.
Where's that little character at? These are
over here, will you please? Bring them over to the general. Would you bring the youngsters over here?
Come on over here. Come on, get a picture taken.
Get up on the steps. Come on.
That's right. You're standing here. That's right. You're standing. That's right. Hey,
You're a duck.
there we are. Come on. Who's smiling?
Come on.
Come on, smile for the baby. Hey, get up here. Come on. Hey, look at that. Everybody's coming. We're all in the picture. Hey. Come on, Ricky. I'll hold you. Come on. Come on, Ricky. Big boy.
Okay.
Oh, I haven't seen so many boys and girls in a long time.
Everybody over here now. There you go, kid. Right over here, man. Good. Get one more in there. Great. Oh. Right over here, kids. Right. Nice smiles. Right over here at the camera.
Ricky, want to be down?
Good. Nice smiles.
Oh, good.
Good.
Right. Oh, look at all the smiles. How about it?
Okay. Good. Okay.
Nice. Hi. Who's this?
What's up here?
What's your name?
Hey, kids. Right up here again. One more time. Here we go. Right over here.
Nice.
Nice smiles. Good.
Oh, again.
Good. Here we go. Right over at the camera.
Hey, smile.
Good.
Smile, smile, smile.
I think you're going to go into this. Also, how about you? Hey, Bill. There was a movie. Okay, Bill, will you lead the way, please? We have a couple of minutes to press the gathering. No, this is 10 minutes to press the
That's one of the stops for the superintendent. This is.
And then you drive about an hour.
I'm capture this elevator sometimes.
I work here. Should we,
10 minutes for the person setting up cameras.
Your husband doesn't want to walk.
I oversee all the kitchen. They've been through the program, but they just wanted to count.
This is where they start with a $300,000. It's not supposed to fall down after we get done with it. Seismic control work.
The building next door will need almost a half a second. But then you have a quick bill for
They're starting right now. This is it.
So what is this here then? The advocates live here?
No, some of the advocates live here, some do not live here, but they come in through primary, which is this over here. It's a social detox. They must be dry for about 48 hours so that they are chemical free enough that they are not in physical danger. Then they move up a floor and then they come on this. This building is 7 floors. And they can stay here on this building up to 5 months and going over to our halfway house called Harmony Hall.
So this is really the detox.
This is the detox.
This
This is the detox, and then they would start, after they've got their paperwork squared away and on their way towards applying for ID, identification, things of that nature, then they would go on these floors.
So upstairs they're doing what? Accommodations?
Yes, there are 7 floors.
7 floors?
Bill, how many phases?
Really 4.
Carolyn, bless your heart. So nice to see you.
Hi, how you doing? Good.
The cool drink, honey. What's that over there? Yeah. Orange juice. Like orange juice. No money.
You guys want fruit or cheese or whatever?
You better put that in there. I need to pour it. Everywhere I go in America, tea also. Thank you very much.
That punch looks great.
Worse than the
Staff, you're welcome to take
Like some fruit?
You're welcome.
Piece of fruit. Excuse me. You hold that bag well. Around here. I love it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure this evening to entertain and to welcome to our Arbor Light program the international leader of the Salvation Army. I'm Colonel David Wright, the divisional commander. The gentleman on my left is Major William Mulch, who is the director of this program, and the gentleman on my right, your left, is the Western Territorial Commander of the Salvation Army. Here she is, General Eva Burrows.
Oh, thank you. Am I using this or what am I doing? Oh, it's just very nice to greet you this evening, members of the press. It's a great interest to me to visit Los Angeles and to see something of the work of the Salvation Army amongst the homeless, the poor, the destitute, the disadvantaged, none what can use these days, deprived, sometimes depraved. The Salvation Army has always had a passionate concern for the homeless and the poor. It's just over 100 years ago since William Booth was driving over London Bridge, a bridge over the Thames, which now sits in Havasu, is it? Havasu City. I've been there. And that bridge in London across the Thames was the bridge where William Booth was driving in a hackney carriage with his son Bramwell, and he saw men sleeping under the bridge in London, and he said, Bramwell, do you know these people are sleeping here rough? And Bramwell said, well, yes, there are lots of men sleeping homeless in London. Well, William Booth said to his son, go and do something about it. And since that time, the Salvation Army has been trying to do whatever it can to shelter the homeless, feed the hungry, and care for those whom nobody else wants to care for. In fact, it's not only in Los Angeles and great cities like Chicago and New York, but it's all around the world. At the present time, we are housing thousands of refugees from Afghanistan on the northern borders of Pakistan. In Hong Kong, we are housing the Vietnamese boat people who still haven't got anywhere to go. We are trying to help people in Bombay, for example. We feed those people whom we call the pavement people. People who have no home except that little bit of territory on the pavement where they live and have their whole being. I've lived in Sri Lanka, and there daily we would feed so many people who have no means of support. So the Salvation Army is not only on the skid rows of these great cities of the world, but everywhere where people are in need. This global need is met by, these days, a global Salvation Army. And one of the key things that we are doing is the rehabilitation of people who have alcohol problems, alcoholics, drug addicts, such as you see here in Skid Row. For example, I could take you to the archipelago of Stockholm, where we have an island in that archipelago where we help Swedish alcoholics. I can take you to New Zealand, where in the harbour of Auckland we have an island where the men go to try and get rehabilitated from their problems. I can take you to places in Australia, Canada, America, you name it. We've got centres trying to help people with these problems. How do we help them? Well, we provide what we've got here. A place to sleep, some food to eat. But also the Salvation Army tries to quicken the conscience of the government to provide for people such as these. We also want to articulate for the voiceless poor, and I think the Salvation Army has an important place in reminding the government of its responsibilities to such people. Some people tell us, well, you're only giving emergency aid, you're not doing very much. What about the long-range projects? I always say there are plenty of long-range projects, but there are not too many people helping those who are at this moment homeless and hungry. All around the world, the Salvation Army has long-range projects. For example, we We train peasant farmers in Kenya. We have got digging of wells for people who need it in Sri Lanka and parts of India. We were interested in long-range projects. We want to help in that way. But there are so many people who need emergency help, and the Salvation Army will not see people helpless and hopeless without helping them. There are projects in mind here in Los Angeles which interest me, and one of them is the project which we're going to start on the other side of this road for women alcoholics, for women on Skid Row. Sad thing to think about, but it's becoming increasingly true that women are having alcohol problems more than ever before. And this place here is called Harbour Light, and the one across the road is Safe Harbour. They're going to call it Safe Harbour. Rather a lovely name, I think. It's the Salvation Army's plan to build this new facility just across the road, which will meet the needs of women. I think they're going to, from what I see here on some information that I've been given, is that we're going to establish a centre over there where the women will be cared for and helped, but they will also be connected with the program that we do here. These days we are kind of celebrating the fact that here in Los Angeles the Salvation Army is about to begin its 100th year of life and service in this great city. And I'm delighted to be here and to discover that we're still trying to do new things to meet social need where it actually is. You know, I think that it was George Bernard Shaw who said that the worst sin that we can have towards our fellow creatures is not to hate them, but to be indifferent to them. And I think indifference is one of the problems of the affluent society today. Look after myself. Like one woman said, my husband and I, my son John and his wife, us four, no more. A lot of people live selfishly for themselves and don't care about others. I'm pleased because here in this great city, the Salvation Army is trying to meet people's needs, and there sure is a lot of need around here. I only had to drive through the streets and I was amazed at the number of people who look hopeless and helpless. Please God, we'll continue to do that. And I think, Colonel Riley, you could tell them a little bit about the program that's here. Very pleased to be here and to see this work. May it continue.
Thank you, Colonel, very much. We also have here this evening Mr. Vern Swenson, who is the chairman of our Harbour Light Advisory Board, and also Julie Fredericks, who represents the Office of Alcohol Program. And I'm sure they are pleased to hear of our announcement about the new women's program. We also want to emphasize the fact that Major Mulch is here, and he will still be in charge of the Safe Harbor as well. His counselors, his staff, this program, the food service, the counseling service, the chapel service, the ongoing spiritual welfare of the ladies will also be taken care of in this building. That will be their home across the way, and this will be their program facility. If you have any questions you'd like to address to the General or to Major Mulch or to the Commissioner, this would be an opportunity to do so.
Yes, I'm Vern Swenson. I'm the chairman here. Are there any other women's programs such as the one that we're starting across the street?
Yes, in other parts of the world there are others. For example, in Sydney, Australia, a place like your refuge where the women come, and those who want to kick the problem, who want to give up their alcohol addiction, they then are taken out into a rural area in a kind of a farm where they work on the farm, and over a period of perhaps 6 months they are helped, you know, to get a new strength, a new spiritual strength. And I remember going to that farm in Australia, and the women were, some of them were sewing. They learned quite a lot of hand skills as well. And one woman was making a beautiful patchwork quilt out of little bits and pieces, and I thought how much like her own life that quilt was, that out of quite a lot of ruined pieces, one would say, remnants. You know, she was making something lovely. And there would be, that would be typical also in Sweden, where they have work like this, and in New Zealand. may surprise you, but alcohol is a very serious problem right through the Western world.
Can I ask a question? The
Yeah.
Salvation Army has such an outstanding reputation around the globe for alcohol treatment programs, and the question comes up frequently, what makes yours that much better, that special entity?
Well, I believe that we try to help a man look at his total need. And his need is not only to kick that addiction, but to find power and strength to face up to life in the future. And we make no bones about the fact that we have a spiritual dimension to our program. I was speaking to a Salvation Army officer who works in this kind of program in Australia, and he said to me, you know, if you take an alcoholic to a doctor, he becomes a healthy alcoholic. If you take an alcoholic to a psychiatrist, he becomes a balanced alcoholic. If you take him to many programs for alcoholics, he becomes a sober alcoholic. But if you take him to a source of spiritual power, which is Jesus Christ, he becomes a transformed person, a changed man. And we believe that the spiritual dimension gives a man an opportunity to become a new creature, a new person, and have a new hope and a new spiritual dynamic, a new power in himself. So that I think we were criticized by somebody, we won't mention who it is, but they said that the Salvation Army was encouraging its clients to seek spiritual nurture. But I think that's a great thing. The Salvation Army does not proselytize. We don't turn these clients into Salvation Army people. We don't even force them or try to make them even to Christians. We try to help to nurture their spiritual life, and then they make their own decisions about the future. But I think these men have proved by the fact that they're already lying in the gutter hopeless and helpless, that they need a power outside themselves. So that's the plus.
If I can make a follow-on question, you've been traveling around the country and in Canada
Yes.
recently. Have you seen changes, surprising things from other places or on other previous visits to the...
No, I haven't seen much of the Salvation Army in America and in Canada in terms of observing it. I've been on very much a whistle-stop tour this time, really to meet Salvationists and perhaps provide a little inspiration in that sense. So I haven't seen a great deal, but I do know that America and Canada have programs which the rest of the world can learn a lot from. I think of Canada's program for correctional services, which is outstanding in the world, and we are involved a great deal in taking teenagers from the courts and helping them get a right perspective to life. If I took you to Australia, I could show you some of the most innovative job creation programs for unemployed youth, which I think some of the best in the world, and other Salvation Army areas could learn from them. And particularly the programs for unemployed youth are not only to train them in work skills, but to give them new attitudes to life, to let them do a job and feel the satisfaction of having done something for the first time in their lives and completed a job satisfactorily. They also learn, have new attitudes towards themselves and people, and I think the attitude training is just as important as the job skills training. So in actual fact, the more I'll move around the Army world, the more I'll see some programs that we may be able to adapt and use in other countries. Thank you.
I understand you met with President Reagan, and I know he's certainly for his wife is a supporter of some of the drug programs. What's his attitude towards you?
Well, I did see President Reagan. I'm wearing the pin. Anybody else wearing this pin? You can only get this pin if it's handed to you by the President himself. So we were in the Oval Office. It was just a few days before he went to Reykjavik in Iceland. So naturally we could not have a long period with him. But I felt honored that in that very pressured time, the President actually saw me. And we had some conversation together. He expressed his deep appreciation for the work of the Salvation Army, particularly in the field of alcohol and drug abuse. And we assured him that was an area in which we would like to be deeply involved. I complimented him and his wife on the stand that they're taking. I live in London, and we saw them both on the television several days. And you know, drug addiction amongst the young people is becoming a very serious problem in London. And so everybody gave the president a pat on the back for once. You know, I mean, he gets plenty of criticism. Why shouldn't he? As the president, you expect a lot of knocks when you're a general or a president. And but everybody was really thrilled that the head of a country would be so positive in providing funds to do something about the scourge of drug addiction. After all, young people are our future. If we can't help them now, we don't know what kind of a society we'll have in the future. And it was very nice to meet him. Actually, I thought he looked fantastic. He must have just been on holiday. He looked brown and ready to go, you know, I was going to say to war with Mr. Gorbachev, but not quite the right analogy. No, sometimes on television the president looks worried and concerned, but I felt that he looked very positive that day. I was pleased to meet him. A fine man, leader of a great country.
I have one more question. You're just starting your tenure really as general, but what are your hopes and aspirations for your next few years as the leader of this group?
Oh, the Salvation Army General has a great deal of authority because we are one army around the world. We are a great international family, and all the leaders of the Salvation Army Worldwide Commission are here, whether they're Indonesian, Indians, Japanese, Americans, Australians. They all state they will be loyal to the General. Therefore, whatever I may try to inspire in terms of some program, they will be very supportive. And so I will be looking at, for example, the aspects of our youth program, which I think is most significant. Young people come really #1 with me, and I'd like to see not only programs that help young people, but the Salvationist young people being used in the planning, the strategies of our movement as we come towards the 21st century. I would be very interested in the development of indigenous leadership in the Third World, because one day we might have a non-white general of the Salvation Army, and such leadership must be planned and developed. Also, I would like to see that the Salvation Army continues to have this beautiful balance between evangelism and social caring. That is, we are a church that practices what it preaches. These will be encouraged.
I have a question. You address worldwide problems in a very meaningful manner. How can you have the belief that you're going to be able to make a difference? I mean, the problem just seems so immense.
That's right. You ever been to India?
No.
If you go there and you see, you're talking worldwide, if you want to go and wonder whether you could ever do anything, you go to India, as I've done on many occasions. But you look what Mother Teresa is doing. One person touching a few lives in Calcutta. She's an inspiration to the rest of the world. And a lot of people have got involved because of Mother Teresa. In other words, if you feel that there's a great need, you must do something. Even if you only touch a few, you're doing at least something to help assuage the suffering of the world. So you can't be put off by the fact that the problem's too big. The problem is terribly great. Look at Ethiopia and the starving people. But what happened when what's his name? Geldorf? You know, I mean, he gets up and we get many pop stars interested. I think that's terrific. You say, who was Geldorf? Nobody knew about Geldorf. He was almost a failed pop star. But somehow one fellow starts out and then raises millions of dollars, which is going to help a lot of people. So I think everybody must have this conscience of doing something. As Bernard Shaw says, the most terrible thing, the sin, is to be apathetic and do nothing. know, what are you going to do? Something?
Yeah.
Right.
I hope.
Everybody can do something. Really. No, seriously, I was teaching you this. But everybody can make some personal contribution. I have a brother, my sister and her husband, brother-in-law, who was in India at a hospital. And he said to himself, you know, here I'm only treating a few people every day, and there are millions. But then there came this sort of incandescence in his own heart that says, I'm doing something. I'm doing something.
Okay, you say that to do something. If you were to give the best suggestion as to what an average person might do tomorrow, what would you do?
Become a volunteer at the Salvation Army. I'm pleased to tell you that right across this country, it's estimated that there are about 1 million Americans who give volunteer service in the Salvation Army. Here, there, everywhere. So that's one way. If you felt really concerned about the people in the third world, you could even apply to the Salvation Army to see if there was some work that you could do in the third world. We are now working in just about 90 countries. So there are lots of things. And then, you know, the Peace Corps of years ago, I don't know what's happened to that in America. I must find out. What happened to the Peace Corps? Still going. Still going. It's just we don't hear it. Yes, you know, people are funny, aren't they? You know, something's exciting for a few days, and then you forget all about it. Join the Peace Corps.
I might add that this Saturday there should be a plane load of volunteers,
Yes.
doctors, nurses, medical technicians, other kinds of skilled people who will be going with food and drugs, those things that are badly needed now in El Salvador. And this is a sponsored project by our Western Territory from California, and we hope to have clearance tomorrow from the El Salvador government to land that plane at the nearest point to the need. And that's the kind of thing we're talking about. Every one of the folks going, except perhaps one Salvation Army officer, will be volunteers. There'll be 24 folks going along with that food and medicine and supplies. We've already purchased 400 tents, and we're trying to get a medical unit. But this will take place, and this just transpired today with the General Commission. The Army is moving in there now with its emergency services. So that's the kind of thing that springs forth when people are willing to do something and to help other people in their need.
Yeah, well, we haven't got the kind of money to solve all the world's problems, but no government seems to have enough money either. And I think that Salvation Army often gets right down on the ground floor to help people. Great groups like the IMF, they've got a lot of money, but they only want to do big projects such as great agricultural projects, damming rivers so that there'll be water for irrigation schemes. Those are massive projects, but there are plenty of little suffering people. And the Salvation Army seems to get more concerned with those. Yes?
You mentioned that one day the Salvation Army may be headed by a non-white male.
Yes? Yes.
My question to you, Madam, is has the Salvation Army had a position on apartheid in South Africa?
Thank you. First of all, to say that when I was elected the General, I was elected by a group of leaders, of whom the Commissioner was one. There were 46 there, and amongst those people were 4 black Africans, 4 Indians, there was an Indonesian, you know, there were quite a number of non-whites, and one of the nominees for General was an Indian, Commissioner Madam Samuel, and he wasn't the first out in the election, I can tell you that. Brilliant Salvation Army leader of great spirituality. On the question of apartheid and all areas of politics, the Salvation Army takes a non-political stance. We don't get involved with political policy, but to us, apartheid is anathema. And in South Africa, for example, I, as the General, would not lead a meeting where all races could not be present. And we've recently won a wonderful victory in South Africa in that our theological students, we call them cadets, are all studying together. Black, the Bantu, coloured, who are mixed race, and the whites. All three are working and studying together. The government doesn't allow them to live together because of the segregation laws of accommodation, but they are studying together, and that's a great victory. Thank you.
I'm going to have to conclude the press conference. The General is going upstairs to meet one of our clients who has asked to see him and meet him. Then we're going out on the sidewalk to meet some of the folks that are waiting to come in for this evening's program and for what we call very lovingly the bean line. And so we'll want to vacate this room right away. Chapel starts in about 3.5 minutes. If you'd like some pictures of a typical nightly chapel where the gospel is preached, the transforming gospel of Jesus Christ, which the General referred to, you're welcome to stay. We always need volunteers for that too, because we need people that can carry a tune and that can say amen appropriately. Thank you very much, General. We do appreciate it.
There's no pictures without sound. These are not silent.
Top General in the world.
That's right.
Pardon me?
Hi, how are you? Where are you
She's the
from?
General from Salvation Army. She's the top leader in the world.
What are you doing over here? You messed up your life a lot. Just your money. What are you doing in L.A.?
President Reagan.
President Reagan? What did he call you out here? Did he?
No. An overthrow on stuff.
Ah, so what about Baltimore? What's there?
There's nothing there. I'm a fan. They didn't want me involved.
They didn't want you. Where do you come from? Memphis. Oh, you all come from different places. Here's a lady.
Another lady meeting.
I can't meet her if she don't meet me.
What's your name?
Where are you from?
Detroit.
Detroit. What are you doing here?
Glory and praise
You're looking for Bill? Where are you from?
We will if you're okay. We got to get that equipment out of the way.
Well, look at us all. And I'm visiting here. I'm from London. Any been to London? A lot of rain in London. Well, yes. It's very nice weather here. But I hope you're going to have a good meal. What do you usually get? Beans? This is the bean line. Have you been here before?
This lady has a way of putting a smile on our faces, doesn't she? Let's go.
Well, what's over there?
Well, this is the place that's going to be dedicated very soon, we hope.
Are you going to
Colonel Riley is working
I'm trying to find something to stay in tonight.
to stay tonight?
Yeah, most of the places are filled up. I don't know about that out there. There are no places for women,
it's going to
baby.
be available.
No,
Hi,
you
how
go.
are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Great, great.
Good.
Nice to see you. How are you?
No
Good.
places for women.
God bless you.
Jew, baby. We have movies, boy.
Oh, there you go. There you
You speak Spanish? Oh, well, anybody speak Spanish around here? What's the matter with you? What's happened?
Sí, no me duelen porque murió. No. Vean a lama San Martín. Vean a lama San Martín. Ven Cristo Rey, no me olviden de noche ni de día. El día tiene 2 horas, la noche están viendo. El por otro 50 ¿Qué más arriba del cielo florearon un toro con llave de plática. Vean, está por ustedes. Vengo a ver nuestra ficha buena, los ángeles de pareja.
¿Vaya con Dios?
Sí, todos vamos allá con Dios.